In the simulation type, you can access the instructions to establish how the simulation will be conducted. By default, all simulations start on January of the current year. A name can be applied to that simulation, and you can define how many years or months of simulation are required in your precise work, in this case 4 years. When the years of simulations are established and taking into account the number of cows in the herd, a suggested amount of replications is presented in the simulation position. However, this number can be changed. Be reminded that decreasing the number of simulation will increase the speed of the simulation and calculations, but will also reduce the precision of the results. In this case, and in order to reduce the waiting time, we'll put one single simulation. Finally, you can define whether the simulation and results are presented in a monthly, trimester, semester, or year basis. In this case, in a monthly basis. Therefore, we can go ahead and simulate, keeping in mind that if you simulate for more than one time or two different conditions, you can accumulate these by activating the On button. However, if you want to save only one single simulation, you can put off in the accumulation simulations. However, by default, we recommend to maintain the On as often as possible. When the Simulate button is clicked, the computer calculates the simulation of the conditions established in the current situation and will provide the results. Results that are initially presented in a summary table and two graphs. Summary table will provide the overall net margin in the 4 years, the average net margin for average year, the average net margin per cow per year, and the margin for every one of the years simulated, which are then represented in a graph. In the second graph, you can have a representation of the accumulated income that is gained as a net margin by the farm, or you can also activate the monthly or the monthly income. And then you can personalize typical graphs. For example, you can get a list of potential areas of interest where you simulate, for example, daily milk yield production. And you will get a graph that will indicate month-to-month the production of milk per milk cow. You can see, for example, the fluctuations that occur due to heat stress in summer. Finally, results are also presented in summary: the population structure, production, reproduction, heifers, disease, and economics. And you can see data in a month-to-month basis, or you can summarize in a summary of year by year and total summary. For example, in production basis, the average production per milk cow is being 41.3 liters of milk. If you go to reproduction, you have the average heat detection rate, conception rate, pregnancy rate, calving to first insemination, and so on. These results can be exported, and the export of the data can be achieved with either a PDF file or an Excel file. If you export that in Excel, then you can manipulate data to produce graphs or study the data more carefully.